everybody, Alan Brocken, author of the Towers of Light series. In the last few weeks, I've been sharing my latest book, Logan versus the Hateful Strawberries. This book isn't out yet, it's with my editor, but I just thought I'd share the chapters that went to my editor, see what you think. I'd love to get your feedback, see how I can improve the story, or maybe you just enjoy it and you can't wait to find out what's next. So last time, Logan had run into the Hateful Strawberries, and so this time in Chapter 4, we're starting with the Chapter 4, The Lying Tongue. As the sky began to turn purple, the wonderful feeling Logan had began to fade, and he realized that if he didn't hurry, it would be dark before he got home. He thought about having another strawberry for the road, but then decided it might be better if he had a bunch of strawberries for the road, especially the biggest one near the far edge of the patch. That one was so big it would surely win him a prize at the fair. He got up to fetch it and realized Aiden might be right about the tower's light destroying those strawberries. He needed something to carry them in that would keep the light off of them. As he scanned the area, he was surprised to see the raccoon actively putting things in the burlap sack that had fallen from the tree. Was the little critter planning to use the sack to carry the prizes back to the tree? Could it really be that smart? Maybe it was just a good place to hide them from other critters. He needed that sack, but wasn't sure he wanted to get in a tussle with the little beast over it. After looking around, he wasn't sure he'd find another option for protecting his new prize strawberries without it. Then he had an idea. Maybe if it looked like he was helping the raccoon, it wouldn't hassle him. So Logan found a piece of raccoon treasure furthest from the sack and picked it up. The raccoon immediately began to bark at him, but Logan very carefully placed it in the sack and stepped back. The raccoon paused momentarily and Logan picked up the next item. This time the raccoon barked a little less severely. Logan dropped it in the bag and the raccoon seemed to understand. Logan picked up 2 more pieces of random metal and some twine from the ground, and the raccoon seemed satisfied that Logan was helping it and went on to collect its treasures. At that point, Logan switched from raccoon treasures to strawberries. After the first one, the raccoon barked at him again as if to say, "What do you think you're doing?" But Logan persisted, and then the raccoon seemed to get the idea and started to help put strawberries in the bag. At that point, the bag was almost half full. Logan paused and held his hand out to the raccoon like Pa had taught him to approach a dog he'd just met. The raccoon came up and sniffed his hand for a second. It took all of Logan's will not to pull back from the raccoon's sharp teeth, but then the animal licked his fingers and smacked its lips. Apparently Logan hadn't gotten all the strawberry juice off of them because the raccoon wouldn't stop licking. When Logan couldn't take it anymore, he pulled his hand back and wiped it on his pants. Gross raccoon slobber. The little exercise seemed to let the raccoon know he was a friend, so Logan hoped he wouldn't get attacked for picking up the sack. Then he paused as he reached for it and pulled a strawberry from the vine. He offered the strawberry to the raccoon. It cocked its head and then snatched it from Logan's hand. Logan used the distraction to scoop up the sack and gently sling it over his shoulder so as not to squish any of his precious strawberries. The raccoon was so caught up in the strawberry it didn't seem to notice, so Logan took a step out of the strawberry patch. A glint of metal off to the left caught his attention, and he realized he'd left his hatchet on the ground. He couldn't leave without that. He picked it up, and something felt off. At first, he thought his hands might still be a little dirty from the strawberry juice, but that wasn't it. The axe didn't light up like it should have. That was odd. He wondered about it for a moment, then realized that maybe there wasn't any danger, and the strawberries weren't a problem after all. He felt fine, and the raccoon didn't seem the worse for wear. With the sky getting darker and darker, he didn't have time to contemplate it. He needed to get going. So he tucked the hatchet in his belt and started to weave his way out of the woods. However, his new friend had polished off the strawberry, and instead of rolling back in satisfied stupor as Logan expected he might, the critter was following him as he headed out of the forest. Logan wondered if it was hoping to get another strawberry or just worried about its treasures. Either way, there was nothing for it. The critter didn't seem like it would cause any trouble, and he didn't have time to mess with it. Besides, the little guy was starting to grow on him, so he was careful not to lose the raccoon in the underbrush as he made his way out of the forest. The walk home was an uneventful stroll across the grasslands, with the raccoon keeping up surprisingly well. The walk gave Logan time to think about how the strawberries made him feel earlier. He'd never felt like that before. His vision was clear and everything seemed to stand out so well. He sure wanted to get Pa's looking glass and see how far he could see from up in the barn after he ate a strawberry. Time passed so quickly that Logan came up on the homestead with lantern light flickering in the windows. He didn't want Ma to get sideways with him about the raccoon, so he took the long way around the barnyard fence to come up on the barn's back door. He figured he could probably get the raccoon to stay there if he put the bag where the critter could find its treasures. Something about that gave Logan a sense of satisfaction. The barn was a way better home than a stupid old tree. He'd done the raccoon a favor, hadn't he? The only problem was, where could he put the raccoon so that Pa wouldn't find him right away? After cracking the barn door and lighting a lantern, Logan realized there was no good place on the barn's first floor, but if the little guy could climb the ladder, he might be able to make a hidey hole up in the loft. So Logan hung the lantern on a hook by the ladder and started up it. The raccoon sat on its haunches and began barking at Logan. Shh! Quiet, little guy. Pa will hear, Logan hissed as he paused halfway up the ladder, completely flustered. He wasn't sure the raccoon would let him carry it up to the loft, and even if he did, he thought it might be bad to have it get stuck up there. It had to be able to go up on its own. On the other hand, if he didn't shut up, Pa would likely come out and make it into a new hat. Just as Logan decided to head back down, the raccoon moved toward the ladder. Logan quickly clambered up the ladder, hoping the little critter would follow. When he reached the top, Logan quickly dug out the smallest strawberry he could find and held it over the edge. The raccoon's eyes widened and it smacked its lips. For the briefest moment, Logan pulled back his hand. Why am I wasting a strawberry on this stupid critter? These are my strawberries. I picked them. It could go back to the woods and get some of its own. He stared at the strawberry for a moment, feeling his mouth begin to water. His attention was drawn below as scratching sounds came up from the ladder. He looked over the edge in time to see the raccoon scrambling up the side of the ladder. That wasn't exactly how Logan expected to see it make its way up, but it seemed to be working for the little critter, so why not? The raccoon poked its head over the top rung of the ladder and barked at Logan as if to say, "Where's my strawberry?" Logan quickly held it up, just out of the raccoon's reach. It scampered up into the loft, and Logan had to move fast to keep it from snatching the berry from his hand. Logan stooped over to not bump his head as he sidestepped along the loft's edge, between where the hay had piled up and the wall. He kicked hay out of the way and made a path for the raccoon to follow. When he finally got to the corner farthest from the ladder, he set the bag down carefully and held out the strawberry to the raccoon. It scampered across the rough log beams and snatched the strawberry from Logan's hand. Then, to Logan's surprise, it barked at him and buried it under the hay. Then, he barked at him some more. It took Logan a second to realize the raccoon seemed to be telling him to bury the bag under the hay as well. Logan thought about it for a minute and worried the raccoon might eat all the strawberries if he left it there. He knew Ma and Pa would start calling for him any minute, but he had to hide the strawberries somewhere to keep them safe until the fair. He stepped back to scan around for a hiding place, forgot he was in the loft, and backed right into something sharp sticking out of the rafters behind him. Ow! The startled raccoon started barking at him, and he was sure Ma or Pa would know he was out here messing around. Shh! He demanded of the raccoon. It looked up at him with squinting eyes, then proceeded to lick its front paws clean, and its eyes began to glaze over. Logan reached up to rub the sore spot on the back of his head and felt the nail on the back of his hand. He turned around and realized it was a 3-inch 10-penny nail with about half an inch sticking out of the wood, twisted up a bit. If he had seen it, his pa would have said it was some real slipshod work, but that gave Logan an idea. He reached into the bag and carefully fished out the piece of twine he'd put in there earlier. His hand lingered in the bag next to a strawberry for a moment. He wanted to eat another one. They were so good. But he knew dinner would be ready soon, and Ma might notice if his tummy wasn't rumbling after a long day in the woods. So he pulled the twine out and wrapped it around the sack about 6 inches from the top. He pulled it as tight as his muscles let him and then knotted it. Once he was satisfied with the knot, he hooked the twine on the nail and found that it was a good foot above where the raccoon was now reaching for, standing on its hind legs. "I'll be back, you little rascal." Logan reached down slowly and patted the raccoon on its head. "Rascal, that sounds about right. I'll call you Rascal." The gentle petting seemed to satisfy the little animal because it slowly leaned back and fell into a satisfied stupor on its back like it had in the woods. Those strawberries sure were good. He'd have to sneak back up here after dinner for some more and bring the telescope. The view from the loft would be great, but how was he going to sneak it out without Pa knowing? He has always been so particular about the spyglass ever since the Skull Crusher incident. The thought of that evil giant sent a cold chill down his spine. As if trying to banish the thought with action, he scrambled down the ladder and out the front of the barn. He hoped he wasn't so late getting back to the house he'd be scolded. Ma was just pulling a spider pot from the oven when he entered the kitchen. "Well, there you are. I was about to call for you." She carefully set the 3-spike-leg pot on a plain white ceramic trivet on their raw oak table. Logan never understood why they called it a spider pot. Spiders have 8 legs. Ma continued, "Are your chores all done?" Yes, ma'am," Logan stammered as he pulled the lid off the pot. He hated fibbing to Ma, but whatever was in the pot smelled tasty and his stomach was growling. It would take at least half an hour to do his chores, so no way he was waiting until after dinner. Besides, once he got the spyglass, he could sneak out to water and feed the animals after he had a chance to see the stars while eating his special strawberries for dessert. "This will be ready in just a minute, and you're filthy," she said, putting her finger to his nose. "Go change your shirt and wash up." Logan didn't like being told he was stinky, but he wrinkled his own nose when he realized how ripe he smelled. At least it was covering up any strawberry smell. But would Ma even notice, given his work this morning? Then again, he was so stinky, he was pretty sure any strawberry smell would be a sweet perfume in comparison. Disgusted with his own stink, he went into the great room and climbed the ladder to his space in the loft over his parents' room. He removed his shirt and used a washcloth and the porcelain pitcher and basin next to his bed to wash quickly. Then he put a clean shirt and was in such a hurry that he missed the buttons and had to redo it. As he descended the ladder, he heard the kitchen door slam shut and the voice of his ma greeting Pa. He couldn't quite tell what they were saying, but thought they might talk for a minute. Now was his chance to sneak the telescope out of Pa's room. If he could get it right now while no one was looking, he could set it out the great room window on the porch and then pick it up later when he went to stargazing. Heart pounding, he gently turned the knob on the heavy oak door to his parents' bedroom and snuck in as quietly as he could. Logan knew he shouldn't be doing this, so he thought about shutting the door behind him, but then he wouldn't be able to hear if they'd come into the great room before he went out. Most likely, Ma might not remember if she left the door open or closed. He wanted to light a candle because it was so dark in the room, but he knew that would give him away for sure. Logan snuck over to what he liked to call Pa's war chest. He cracked the lid and felt around for the smooth, round case. After grabbing a sword scabbard by mistake, he found the spyglass case on the second try. He carefully pulled it out of the chest, and then, in case he was seen leaving the room, he carefully set it out the window against the wall with the base on the wooden porch. Logan's breath caught when he released the case, and it rolled off the wall and fell with a soft thump. Then it rolled a bit toward the yard. In a panic, he rushed out of the room, right into Pa. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" Pa's disapproving tone jammed a rock-hard stone in the pit of Logan's stomach. Logan began as heat filled his cheeks. He was going to be in so much trouble. "That's all you have to say for yourself?" Pa said in a very measured, quiet voice. He'd really messed up this time. Pa didn't use the quiet voice unless Logan had done something wrong. "Well, Logan stammered, looking for the right words. "Let me save you the explanation," Pa started as he held out his hand. "You're a little boy who doesn't do his chores and goes sneaking around the house anytime he feels like it." "But Pa," Logan objected. "Don't you but Pa me." He put a battle-weathered hand on Logan's shoulder as he stared into his eyes. "When I was your age, if I'd left the animals without food and water like you did today, my Pa would have had me seeing stars." Logan's father's voice began to rise. "A man takes care of his animals, so they'll take care of the man. That's what my Pa would have said." Something about that last phrase hooked Logan. He was taking care of an animal. He took really good care of that raccoon rascal. "I was gonna feed them after dinner." "Oh, no, you don't." Pa raised his free hand to cut Logan off. "Your ma told me you said your chores were done. So on top of being a slackabout, you're a liar, too." Then Pa did something completely unexpected. He took a knee and went back to his quiet voice. "At lunchtime, your ma told me how hard you worked on those strawberries. So I was just thinking about having you start to join me on the training grounds." Pa put a hand on Logan's shoulders. "But you know, son, mighty mercenaries don't slack. And they don't lie. So this whole mess just breaks my heart." Logan could feel tears beginning to form. It just wasn't fair. He'd worked so hard this morning on the strawberries, and now none of that mattered. "I'll go feed the animals right now," Logan pleaded as tears began to pour from his eyes. "Please, Pa, let me come with you. I didn't mean to." "Too late for that, son." Pa just shook his head. "You will be feeding the animals right now. But since you didn't see fit to make sure your livestock was fed and watered when they were supposed to, you'll be missing a mealtime too. As soon as you're done, it's off to bed. I'll decide in the morning what we're going to do about that lying tongue of yours." The last Words were said with such finality, Logan knew there would be no discussing, despite his tears. How had he messed up so badly? Pa finally wanted to take him to the training ground, and now, nothing. It just wasn't fair. But Logan could tell Pa's hurt look and quiet voice that Logan couldn't have done anything more hurtful if he'd spit in Pa's eye. Head hung low, Logan trudged through the kitchen where it looked like Ma was crying too. Had he broken her heart also? That's it for Chapter 4 of Logan vs. Hateful Strawberries. Join me next time for Chapter 5, Sneaky Pete.